Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment here with some Tennessee Titans news on this Wednesday. This ended up being a perfect night because I was kind of bored. And I was like, you know what? I'd like to make a video or two. Like, I'm going to make my Avatar spoiler review on my MJ Take channel. By the way, if you're interested in that, make sure to. Whoa, that is loud. Let's go ahead and calm that down. But make sure to check that out. But I wanted to make some sort of video today, and I was like, okay, like this Tannehill news is out there, and I certainly could go ahead and talk about whether or not he's going to play or not, but the answer to me was no. The answer to me was a total no. I could preview the Texans game. Look, I care about the game, and I might preview it tomorrow, but I don't really want to. I just don't think there's really that many fascinating things to discuss. We can discuss some of those things tonight. But with Tannehill now likely out for the season, and this includes even potentially the postseason, this is now significant news, and now I can make some sort of content as regards to the Tennessee Titans tonight. So, the reports are coming down that Ryan Tannehill is likely out for the season with his ankle injury. It also appears that he might need surgery on this ankle and that he will not even be able to return for the postseason. Now, we were having this discussion on Sunday night. Some of you thought I was overreacting when I went this far, but let's have it again. What would y'all rather do? Would y'all rather make the playoffs and likely be out in round one, or would you rather tank for a better draft pick? Now, some people are totally anti-tanking. They don't care about the draft. They don't care about mock drafts. They don't care about having a higher likelihood of getting a better player. This does not matter to them. The ability for us to host a playoff game and win a playoff game to them wins out above all. Okay, totally fine. I understand that 100%. I feel much more strongly if we're talking about, well, we're a horrible team. And are you talking about, are we going to win? Let's say we were 2-11 right now. Or sorry, 2-12. And then you're saying, no, I still want to win games. Well, then I think you're an idiot. I would much rather tank for a top 2, top 3 pick and get a quarterback, if we were that bad, than for us to win 5 games and miss out. That's ridiculous to me. But in this scenario, it makes sense to me. Now that we're right in the middle between either winning this division and picking likely, let's say 18, 19 if we lose, probably 19 or 20 actually, because the Bucks are going to have a pretty bad record, or the winner of the NFC South in general. So probably like 19 or 20 versus picking, you'd likely be picking, you're talking about a 6-7 pick jump. I think you'd be picking 12 or 13 if you lose this division, maybe even 11th, depending on how tiebreakers shake out. In fact, let me look at how the tiebreakers are looking right now in terms of our strength of schedule compared to some of those other teams in the middle, just out of curiosity. Yeah, you'd be looking at probably picking, you could be picking as high as, probably 11. I don't think you'd be picking as high as 10. I don't think. But, it's still possible. There's a lot of things that are mathematically possible right now. So it could be as pick as high 11 or 12, or you just make the wild card and you pick 19 or 20. 7 picks, which can be very significant, especially in the middle of the draft. Now, my personal opinion, though, what I prefer is I want Malik Willis to go off. Now, is this a realistic scenario? Is this a scenario that's even possible? Is this a scenario that we should even consider? From everything that we've seen from Malik Willis thus far, I would say it's very unlikely. Now, again, I'm not totally out on Malik Willis. I know that's what a lot of people believe. I just call it like it is. Every time he's been out there, he's stunk, except for last week. He was actually decent last week. Now, I already saw some people saying, wow, this is a market improvement. Look out for Malik Willis now. Guys, what was he in there for? 4 passes and a couple runs? Really? We're going to grasp on to 6 plays and we're going to say, well, he looked good for 6 plays, so he's figuring it out. No, let's go for 70, okay? For a whole game. In fact, no, let's go for 3 games, and now we have that opportunity. You're talking about now you can get a good 200-plus snap sample size from Malik Willis moving forward. And this is now crucial for your evaluation headed into 2023. If he kills it, and it is a short sample size, but if he kills it, if he gets over 100 pass rating in every game, he shows you the ability to throw the football, he shows you the ability to do what he has to do. You look at it going into 2023 and you feel comfortable with the idea of cutting Ryan Tannehill. You would do this as a post-June 1 cut. You would save $27 million of your cap, and you would move forward with Malik Willis. Now, if you do this, get someone else. Get Bridgewater, get Garoppolo, get Mariota. Bring Mariota back, okay? Just as a backup. I'm not talking about no quarterback controversy. You cannot go into next year with Malik Willis as your only even close to starting quarterback, because I think he still needs to win the job in training camp next year. I don't think you can just crown him as a starting quarterback as a third-round pick that has not played well up to this point in his rookie season. I think you need to give him, at the very least, competition, stopgap competition in the Bridgewater, Mariota, Garoppolo, even a Baker Mayfield if you want Baker in here to cause hell. Fine, you know. And by the way, Baker's been better behaviorally speaking, so he's not that bad anymore. Bring in a Daniel Jones for cheap, because I don't know how expensive he's going to be. And none of these guys are starting quarterbacks, by the way. But I'm just saying, you need to have someone else, just in case Malik Willis stinks it up. We don't necessarily have to go like 3-14, okay? Because no joke, and no offense, he has been as bad as needed for us to potentially go 3-14 for an entire season. If we get the Malik Willis that we saw this season, and we went into next season with him starting all 17 games, we would very likely go 3-14. Maybe not very likely, but it'd be on the plate of possibilities. It would be a huge plate, by the way. It'd be, hey, we could win anywhere from 3 to 10. Okay, either he's going to play well or he's going to stink. And we're going to find out, okay? And this is very similar to when we headed into 2014 with Jake Locker. Let's try it again. Turns out he got injured and he stunk. Then we went Whitehurst. Then we went Mettenberger, and we stunk, right? I still think that 2014 team, now it stunk, don't get me wrong. It wasn't that bad. We went 7-9 the previous year. But the quarterback play was bad, and guess what? The whole team ended up giving up, and then we stunk. That's what happens sometimes, right? So that's the type of range of possibilities that I think you're talking about next year. But I want to see him play well. I would much rather prefer, more than anything, this is what people need to understand. I literally prefer for him to be the guy. Do you know how nice it would be to have a third-round quarterback prove himself to be the guy? You know how cheap that deal is? We could surround him with so much talent for 3 years. For 3 years, you just surround him with wide receivers and talent before you have to pay him. That would be so ideal. That's what the Redskins should have done with Kirk Cousins when they were the Redskins, by the way. I'm not being offensive. They were called the Redskins at the time. So, and then they're able to surround him talent. Now, they ended up letting him go, and that's on them. And they've never been, good again. They've never been the same team since, although they made the playoffs one year, but they were under 500. So, that's what I'm looking at. I really would prefer to Malik Willis. Now, is it enough of a sample size, though? Is it really? Even if he plays great. And it could be 4 games, actually. I'm saying 3 games. I'm already writing us off of the division, which I'm not actually doing, because I think we're going to end up still winning this division. But, and that's a thought, by the way. I'm still, it's real 50-50 right now, but that's what I still believe. So it really is probably going to be 4 games. And if you won a playoff game, if he wins a playoff game against the Ravens, most likely, it could also still be the Chargers. It could also still be the Bengals, but I highly doubt the Bengals are going to lose the division at this point. It could happen. The Ravens are right there, and I'm pretty sure the Ravens have the tiebreaker as of right now. I just don't see that happening right now. The Bengals are just so hot. I think they're going to win out. That's how good the Bengals are right now. And let me check the Ravens' schedule to see if I think the Ravens and Lamar, is he going to be back this week? It's been like 3 weeks already, so he has to be nearing his return. Yeah, they face the Falcons, Bengals, and then Falcons, Steelers, and then Bengals. Yeesh. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. I mean, it's going to go down to week 18, most likely, between the Bengals and Ravens, but I think the Ravens are going to lose, and I think we'd face the Ravens for that 4-5 matchup in the wild card. Again, are we even going to make the wild card? I still think yes. And, I've had more days to really sit on this and think about this. I think we're beating the Texans this week. Even with Malik Willis, an inexperienced Malik Willis at quarterback, I think now you have enough time to get him prepared, to get a better game plan than we had against the Chiefs. Not a great game plan, but a better game plan. He looks a little more comfortable, albeit only in like 6 plays. He looks a little more comfortable, and time has moved on. You can move him around, and you could do things. The Texans gave a lot of their energy last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not sure if they're going to show up with that same effort again this following week. I don't know if that's going to be the case. We're getting a little bit healthier as well. Maybe not on the offensive line. And by the way, you can go ahead and move on to that for a second. Dylan Radins is out, torn ACL, and his NFL career, as far as I'm concerned, is now over. I'm not sure he's going to make the team next year. You're talking about he probably won't be ready until October of next year. You start him on IR most likely, I guess, because, hey, you're going to be a little nice about it. You don't necessarily want to cut him. By the way, there's only a 50% chance of that. They literally could just cut him. They could just waive him injured, say, boom, we're done with Dylan Radins, and that's it. They literally could say that. I think more likely than not, he starts the season next year on IR. He comes back, he doesn't do anything, and that's the last you'll ever hear of Dylan Radins. So, GG. That's a second-round pick that's down the drain. For those of you that hate John Robinson, go ahead and scout that as one of the reasons why, because, yeah, this is now a disaster. And it already was a disaster, but it's definitely more of a disaster now as it pertains to Dylan Radins. So, Malik Willis to start the rest of the season. Again, I want him to play. That's best case scenario. The best case scenario. And I know people already wanted to tank. Let's go one more week before we toss the white flag and say tank. Okay, before that, let's give him one chance here. Maybe more than one, but let's give him a chance here to win the division and maybe win a playoff game and impress us. Look, I'm not out on him. I'm not in on him, but I'm not out on him. And now he is stunk. Okay, he could be a lot better, and I want to see what he can do. Also, I don't like how small he looks out there. And I know you can do, things in terms of the NFL. You don't have to necessarily have size. I mean, look at Kyler Murray. He's had some success. At times, he's been very good. At times, he's been an MVP candidate. At also times, he's struggled. So keep that in mind. And also, Kyler Murray was the best player in the nation when he was in high school. He was the best player in the nation in college. So he has a higher pedigree than Malik Willis has. So let's also keep that in mind when we're comparing him to Kyler Murray, one of the best high school quarterbacks ever, one of the best college quarterbacks ever. Maybe not in terms of actually his accomplishments, but definitely his Heisman year, he went off. It was crazy. So maybe don't compare him to that. Although this is the NFL and it's a different level. And I think he is more mature than Kyler Murray, so I give him that. And, again, I threw out my little Kyler Murray, suggestion, and I'm still looking at that. And we're going to head into the offseason. We're going to assess quarterback possibilities depending how the season ends. But again, I want to see how Malik Willis performs for the rest of the season. He has his time to shine. You're talking about a 3 or 4 game sample, and we're going to see. Again, so I think we're going to beat the Texans here. I think we lose to the Cowboys. Who did the Jags face again? They face the Jets this week, Thursday night. We'll be watching that tomorrow night. Well, actually, will we be? I don't know. I'm going to have to decide on that one. But I'd rather watch this game or would I rather eat dinner or something, like go on a nice date? What would I rather do? Jeez. I think I might go on a nice date instead of watch this disastrous game. It's actually not that bad. But Zach Wilson's going to start, so that makes it a hell of a lot worse. We're going to see what I do tomorrow night. Okay. Yeah, and then the Jaguars go at the Texans. Jesus. Are they going to lose one of these games? Well, they have to lose both because we're going to lose to the Cowboys, most likely. I mean, the way we're playing, we're probably going to lose to the Cowboys. We have to win this game, for sure, and I think we will. If we win this game, Jaguars lose 1. We lose 1. Week 18 is still for the division. I don't love us competing for the division right now against the Jaguars, how they're playing. But also, they're not playing that well. Because remember, guys, they did lose to the Lions, who are very hot. And not in that way. No, who are playing very well. But they lost 40-14. I mean, geez Louise. So they can look good in a comeback against the Cowboys and good against us. Week before they lost to the Lions 40-14. So I think this Jaguars team is still very capable of choking. Okay, they're still very capable of this and losing games that they shouldn't lose. This team lost to the Broncos and the Colts this season, and the Texans this season. So I still think they might choke. I still think we're going to win this division now. It's definitely like a 55-45 situation, but that's what I'm looking at right now. I don't think all hope is lost, but we are going to see. Alrighty. So with that said, I'm going to head to the chat for a couple of chat comments, and then we're going to get out of here. Remember, Super Chats always get precedent. We begin with Donovan Myers, who says, MJ, welcome back to Sports Fan Entertainment, and that is correct. Baseball 5480 says, as Sports Fan Entertainment, we need a Madden-connected franchise series again. Oh my God, yeah, that was a while back. That is a throwback. Maybe this offseason. I mean, I'm going to have time, well, more time this offseason, but I'll say that and then I never deliver. So let me keep my mouth shut. He didn't add me in the chat, but I want to address this. Rickster says, would you pay Lamar $50 million? $50 million? Who you think he got, Chelsea Clinton? To come to Tennessee? Yes, but it's not going to happen. First of all, you'd have to trade. I think you're going to have to trade 2 or 3 first-round picks if you really want Lamar, and I just think they're going to pay him. I think they're going to pay him, but honestly, I would do it. Because while Lamar has been getting injured a little bit, it still hasn't been bad. Like, he still hasn't torn his ACL or Achilles or anything crazy. And, I mean, he gives you top 10 quarterback play overall. Is he a top 10 pure passing talent? No, but with his running ability, he has top 10 play. 100%, he's got an MVP before, too. So, I would. And it'd be lit. If Lamar was in Tennessee, it'd be lit, man. The barbershop conversations we'd have week to week. Oh, boy. Yeah, they'd be very interesting. All right, let's see. We have Groundbake, actually. Let's start with Groundbake, who says, I got a hypothetical. What if a few plays went our way and we at this point were 9-5 or 10-4? What do you think we'd be looking at in comparison to now? Well, you can always play this game of what if. Every team can play this game of what if. This is the NFL. This is the game of inches. The Raiders went from losing like their first 4 games by like, a combined maybe, let's say 12 points. Now they're winning every close game. Now they're 6-8. They could easily be 8-4 if they wouldn't win other games in the season that were close games. But I don't know what you mean by what do you think we'd be looking at. I'm not sure if you're asking position-wise or like in terms of a fan base. Well, I think we'd be depressed today as a fan base because Tannehill would be out for the season and we'd be like, well, the season's over. And, I mean, people would have more faith if we were 9-5 or 10-4 as opposed to the 7-7 now. So that's what I think in terms of that. Ivermectin Patient says, we seem so committed to the run-first approach that we can't set up the run with the pass, and we have no ability to pass the ball to come back in games while handicap ourselves. Well, yeah. So I'll say, yeah, we are very committed to running the ball early and often. I don't have a problem with us being a run-first team because you have Derrick Henry. He's one of the best running backs in the NFL, if not the best. You could take advantage of him. I'm totally fine with that. When the Raiders finally learned that they could use Josh Jacobs, that's why they're winning games now. So I'm fine with that. But I agree we run too often. We do run, pass too often. We try to set up the run early in games too often. And the passing game can never get going. So why do we do that? Because, I don't know, you have to ask Todd Downing. He's drunk. He's on Jack Daniels. I don't know what he's thinking, but he's drunk. So you have to ask him. I don't know. All right, Alan Husson says, how would you rank the 2022 quarterbacks? I have Bryce Young 1. I have, as of right now, Stroud 2, but I want to watch more Stroud. 3. I'm going to have to make a decision, but I'm going to say Will Levis, most likely, over like an Anthony Richardson or a Tanner McKee. But let me watch my tape again. I have plenty of time to discuss this in the offseason, but I definitely have Bryce Young number 1. Alex Mann says, why don't you do game previews anymore? For Titans games, they just haven't been that significant to me. Like, I mean, when the season kind of just started tanking a little bit, I was just like, yeah, like I could preview these games and give my Tighten Up keys. And for bigger games, I've done that this year, but it just hasn't been that important to me this year. I don't know. If you were having a real Super Bowl contending season, I'd feel much more comfortable doing that, but this hasn't been the case. And by the way, actually, I answered this question wrong, Alan Huston. He's asked about the 2022 rookie quarterbacks. I was thinking 2023 already. So 2022 quarterbacks, like in terms of the rookies, that's a very good question. I mean, you'd have to go Pickett. Well, you have to go Purdy. Sorry, I forgot about Purdy. You have to go Purdy one, Pickett two. Pickett's not been that bad. He had a couple high interception games, but he's been better. Ritter, by the way, everyone was asking for Desmond Ritter. I'm like, he played well in the preseason, so I get that. Desmond Ritter came in the game against, last week, didn't even play better than Mariota played for the entire season. Went 13 of 26 for 76 yards. That is something is wrong with that Atlanta offense. They just can't move the ball. I was blaming Mariota for that, and I think, to a large extent, deservedly so. But now you look at Ritter, he's a rookie. He comes in, he throws 76 yards. Yuck. This Falcons offense, passing offense, one of the worst passing offenses I've ever seen in my entire life. And this is going back to the 90s. I mean, the fact that they can't throw the ball for 200 yards, they can't throw the ball for 200 yards. This week, they couldn't throw it for 77. Ridiculous. So would I go Willis or Ritter? I don't even know if I go Willis or Ritter. Ritter played better in the preseason. So for that reason, I'd have to go Ritter over Willis for right now. But let's get a bigger sample size. But Ritter played very well in the preseason. I don't know what happened last week. And that's not really tape that I'm, he threw it for 97 yards, by the way, not 76. But that's not tape that I'm just like lunging to turn on right now. That's not necessarily the case. But dude, some of these low passing totals for some of these rookie quarterbacks this year. This draft class, we knew it wasn't a great rookie draft class, but sheesh, these quarterbacks can't move the ball at all. I mean, it's pretty preposterous. All right, we move on in the chat. Couple more comments in the chat. SCP says, would you consider drafting a quarterback? As of right now, no. But if Malik continues to step it up, then potentially. But let's cross that bridge when we get there. But for right now, no. I wouldn't consider it right now. All right, Long Live Gaming says, no chance they could take the Bengals. Bills and Chiefs in the playoffs. Might as well go full take now. I agree. But I think it would do a lot for Malik Willis' confidence if he was able to go to the playoffs and beat the Ravens. And I think we'd have a chance against the Ravens. I would give us a 28% chance. Not a great chance. But worse things have happened. Look, I've met women in my life and said, hey, I have a 10% chance, and I've gotten lucky. So I'm always an optimist when it comes to that. But you never know, people. You never know. Donovan Myers says, should we consider trading Henry while he still has value? Woo! No, because I honestly don't think you'd even get a first-round pick for him. Christian McCaffrey didn't even go for a first-round pick. Well, he went for a first, a second, or third. I think he went for, a second, a third, and a fourth. And I think teams value Christian McCaffrey more than Derrick Henry. He's slightly younger, by like a year. Maybe actually 2 years, because I think Derrick Henry went, he actually went for his senior year in college. Or at least he's redshirt junior, whereas Christian McCaffrey went out early. Let me see their age difference. McCaffrey is 26. Henry is 28. Yeah. So, and he's going to be 29 in January. So that he has 2.5 years on Christian McCaffrey. So I don't think you're getting as much as you got for Christian McCaffrey. I think you get a second. I think you get 1 second and maybe a fourth. I don't think you're getting a first round pick for Derrick Henry. I think teams would rather take Bijan Robinson. I would rather take Bijan Robinson. No offense to Derrick Henry. I think he has another 2-3 great years left where he's going to pass probably 1,500 yards this season. Next season, maybe the same thing. And the season after that, probably 1,300 you're looking at. Maybe he's able to break another 1,500, 1,600 yards. But then you're talking about, okay, wait a minute. That's when you're like, and at that point, I'd be fine with it because he'd be over 10,000 rushing yards. He would likely at that point make the Hall of Fame, likely. Let me look up something real quick. Let me look up the Hall of Fame monitor for running backs. I feel like if you probably you have to cross like maybe 12,000 actually as a running back to really solidify yourself. Yeah, you might have to cross like 12,000. 10,000 probably won't cut it. Probably. Now there are some names on here that were able to make it and not get past 12,000. Marshawn Lynch is gonna make the Hall of Fame. He only got 10,000, but he hasn't made it yet. John Riggins had 11,000. Usually, I'm saying though 12,000 most likely. Gale Sayers only had, but Gale Sayers is a very interesting case. Earl Campbell only had 9,400, but usually 12,000 is the number. Adrian James, Thurman Thomas, Franco Harris, rest in peace, by the way. Frank Gore is 16,000. He's going to make the Hall of Fame. Terrell Davis only had 7,600, but he had the 2 Super Bowls. So I think 2 more years, Henry gets over 11,000, maybe 12,000 over 3 years, not 2 years. Because right now he's at only 8,100. And then he makes Hall of Fame, and I'm happy because I want to have another Hall of Famer. We deserve to have another Hall of Famer. So for that reason, I also don't want to trade him. Because he doesn't have to retire a Titan, but I'd rather him just stick with us. But I want a damn pass-catching running back. For God's sake, I don't know why we failed on Darrington Evans, and we're not playing Hassan Haskins. And he's not really a pass-catching back, but he can catch it. But we're not playing. We refuse to play him. And then Dr. Hill has actually played well, but I want a threat. I want a Kareem Hunt. I want even a Nyheim Hines. We need to add that to this offense because, look, we keep complaining about the wide receivers, and deservedly so, the wide receivers are not good. But if you were able to have a nice pass-catching back that could really take the pressure off Tannehill in this offense, I'm telling you, it would do this offense wonders, 100%. Just a nice little check down that's going to go do some things for you, make your life a little bit easier, open things up. 100%. We need to draft this. And it's something that I want us to really look at, be heavy. Like I've been wanting this for a while, and we just refuse to draft it. We just keep missing, but something that we consider. But I'd rather just keep Henry instead of trading him for a second. I just, even for the nostalgia, I don't think he's going to fall off like that. I think he's going to continue to play at least Marshawn Lynch level in his later years. Not like his last year, but not his Oakland years, but his last years in Seattle. To where I think it's still worth it, and I think he can still show a few huge in the playoff game when you need him to. So I would keep Derrick Henry. Real facts says Vrabel actually like Willis. He seems like he favors more of a traditional pocket pass. I remember him pulling Willis in the preseason for running too much. Well, then why'd you draft him? If that's the case, and I'm not going to say you're wrong, well, you shouldn't have drafted him because he's not. There was nothing that you saw on tape or in the combine that said he's good, this pure pocket passer. Not that he's a bad passer; he's decent. At least he was in college. But he 100% relied on his legs in college. I mean, didn't he rush for over 1,000 yards in college? I think he literally rushed for over 1,000 yards in college. So if you don't want a running quarterback, why are you drafting a running quarterback? He rushed for 944 one year, and then his last year, 878. 1 year for 14 touchdowns, the other year for 13. So if you don't want a running quarterback, why are you drafting a running quarterback? That doesn't make any sense. He didn't pass 3,000 passing yards in his time in college. If you don't want a running quarterback, then don't draft a running quarterback. Glass Right Society says even if the Jaguars win both upcoming games and the Titans go 1-1, last game shouldn't be. Yeah, I mean, that would be for the division in the playoffs. That's correct. So, I mean, we have the advantage, but I just don't even want us to have to win that Week 18 game, but it looks like that's going to be the case. All right, a couple more. Ralph Fax says, as a Steeler fan, it seems like Pickett will probably be best, but I think he's a bit limited. I'm still waiting for his breakout game. He's been a game manager, and I agree, especially because he has the wide receiver talent that I wish we had. I mean, they traded away Claypool. Still, outside of him being upset, I don't know why, and I know the Steelers can replace wide receiver talent. They've been doing this. But Deontay Johnson's been inconsistent. George Pickens, while he's a rookie, you think he could do more. So if Pickett is only doing so much with the wide receivers that he has now, by the way, Freiermuth is a pretty good receiving tight end. That is something that I agree, and I think he might be limited. But he definitely has the highest, well, maybe not the highest upside. I think Willis has more upside. I think Pickett is more likely to be better, though. So, yeah, that's what I think on that. And then Keith Bailey says, Sports for Entertainment, is there a chance Dallas rests their starter till they lock up the 5 seed? Honestly, I was not even considering that, but thank you for saying that. That is a very good point. The only thing is, resting your starters, that would be 2 weeks out from the playoffs is a little wild. That's a little wild. Teams have done that in the past and have regretted it. 1 week out, I agree. 2 weeks out, it's a little wild. Now, some teams obviously do this when they have the number 1 seed. Number 5 seed? I haven't remembered that in recent memory. But that's something to consider, so we will look out for that. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on Ryan Tannehill being out for the rest of the season. In comes Malik Willis, and we are going to see how he performs. Until next time, this has been MJ of Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. See you all later.